I'll have materials.
All right, I'm going to give everybody just a moment to get logged in so we can get started, but I am so excited about this amazing technology webinar that we have planned for you today. As you guys know, my name is Ginger. I'm the Executive Director of the Connectionology Seminars of America. We have a lot happening over here at Connectionology between all of the brand new webinars we're going to be launching this month, as well as the live seminars that we have coming up. Our next program is actually going to be in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, which is absolutely gorgeous. It's going to be at the end of September. If you guys go into our website, connectionology.com, you can go ahead and get a sneak peek as to what we have happening in Jackson Hole. It's going to be a small but very intimate seminar. We've got a lot of great things planned. Beautiful time of year. John Romano will be there, John Gomez. We've got, hopefully, I think Keith Mitnick who's coming, Mel Orchard out of the Spence Law Firm. We're gonna have a really great time. So be sure to check that out. You're gonna see a lot of promotions coming out very soon. You're gonna meet later on in this webinar our amazing partners at HMR, On Point Legal Nurse Consulting, as well as Fox AE. We are so grateful to everything that they do, and I can't wait for you guys to meet them. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and get rolling because we got a lot to talk about, right, Justin? Right, John?
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and introduce our amazing moderator, Mr. John Romano. He is going to be with us today. As you guys know, he is incredible. Before he was a trial lawyer and before he started speaking all over the country, handling cases, my gosh, I think there's been over 300 in just about every civil and criminal case you can think of. But before he started doing all that, he was actually a captain in the United States Marine Corps, which I've always salute you, John, for the great work that you've done. In addition to that, he's also a past president of the Melvin Belli Society, the National Trial Lawyers Association, the Florida Justice Association, as well as the Southern Trial Lawyers. In addition to that, he's an author. Again, he's a speaker. He has also been married to his beautiful wife, Nancy, for almost 52 years now. And they have 11 beautiful grandchildren. And 2 of his incredible sons are also trial lawyers who work with him, Eric and Todd, in the Romano Law Group in West Palm Beach. So John, we appreciate everything that you do. It's incredible to have you with us. And I can't wait to hear what Justin and John is going to teach us today.
Thank you so much, Ginger. And as all of you know, Ginger is our great, not only seminar director, but executive director of Connectionology Seminars of America. And Ginger, what you do for all of us in the world of continuing legal education has been beyond extraordinary, especially when you consider when the pandemic began, how you transitioned really overnight into going to webinars from the live seminars, and now have done something way in excess of 200 since COVID began. So it is incredible, and thank you for all you do for us. I am very excited today because we are going to be talking about something that affects us all in our practices, in our daily lives, at home, in our cars, on vacation. I don't care where we are and what we're doing. Technology and the world of AI and all of these things that are beyond at least some of us. And we're going to have 2 fabulous lawyers who not only are great lawyers, great advocates, but who really understand and appreciate and know so much that has to do with technological matters. Our first, not our first speaker, but they're going to be doing this jointly, is Jonathan Lamero from Freehold, New Jersey. And I want to tell you a little bit about Jonathan. Certified civil trial attorney, specializing in medical malpractice and personal injury law, earned his LLM as a Master of Law in Trial Advocacy after law school. Jonathan has authored 3 books on legal practice: New Jersey Medical Malpractice Law, Litigation Technology for the Modern Practitioner, and Try It. And he frequently is authoring articles in peer-reviewed magazines and journals. Jonathan also has acted and continues to be an expert witness in cases involving audit trails, audit logs, access logs, and electronic medical records. He is currently appointed as chair of the Medical Malpractice Committee of the New Jersey State Bar Association hear those qualifications, you know this. We not only have a very special person in terms of lawyering in Jonathan, who will be talking to us, but in the world of technology, somebody with special talents and special skills. As a part of our program today, we also are going to hear from the one, the only, the great, I call him Magic, Justin Kahn, as many of you know. Go ahead, show that again, Justin. Go ahead.
I just go like this.
All right, I happen to believe in magic, so I think what we just saw is a miracle. Justin is an amazing lawyer, an amazing personality, a mentor, a leader of the bar. I've not only have had the honor of getting to know him and his family, but as a part of his family, his mom and dad, and of course his dad, who in his own right, an extraordinary trial lawyer and someone with a most gifted and unique talent for telling wonderful, wonderful stories and jokes. A little bit about Justin, specializing in product liability and medical malpractice. Really every kind of tort case is what he handles. He's practiced in state and federal courts throughout the country. He is board certified by the American Board of Professional Liability Attorneys. This is an organization that board certifies lawyers over the years in 3 areas: med mal, legal malpractice, accounting malpractice. And there are only about 300 such lawyers in the country board certified by ABPLA. He's board certified by the National Board of Trial Advocacy, and he's also certified as a civil circuit court mediator. He teaches as an adjunct professor at Charleston Law School, or Charleston School of Law, where he teaches pretrial practice. He's authored a number of books and continues to author the South Carolina Rules Annotated and South Carolina Rules of Evidence Annotated. So we have someone who understands the law, which is always a nice thing when we're having a lawyer who is teaching us. This is just a great individual. I have such respect for him. A wonderful dad, a wonderful husband, and someone who really gives his all to help all of the rest of us. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Justin and Jonathan. Take it away. The floor is yours.
Oh, you're very kind. You were going to show us some technology. First of all, you've done an amazing job for all lawyers throughout the country. You just in the next 2 weeks, I think you're going to be in Seattle. Are you also going to be in San Diego? I mean, you also contribute.
Going all over, and depositions in Colorado, and then Chicago and New York. It's so we're back on the trail. But you mentioned that. So before I part then and turn it over to you, I would ask everyone to take a little walk with me. And I will just tell you, this camera is coming with me, not because I have a cameraman or camera woman following me around. This is a rather extraordinary technology that I would recommend you all consider getting for your law firms, so that you don't get stuck behind the lectern like I have for many of our webinars. It's called Neat Bar Pro. That's Neat Bar, B-A-R Pro. You can look it up on the internet. And although I don't have, I'm not going to bring everybody in here to do it. If I had another individual sit on the other side of the table, the camera automatically splits into 2 screens. If we have 4, it's 4 screens, etc., 8 and more. That's incredible, because as they're speaking, you're picking them up individually, able to focus on them individually. It's a tremendous technology. The other thing is it really helps you if you're trying to demonstrate something and you do it alone without the assistance of a camera person. And if you want to use demonstrative aids, we have demonstrative aids all over this room. And so consider getting that Neat Bar Pro. All right, Jonathan, Justin, all yours.
All right, thank you.
Amazing.
The what the plan is today is to go through showing you how to use some things with Adobe Acrobat and answer questions in real time. Also, before I start sharing the screen, we're going to have for you as I'll call it a handout, I guess a PDF out, some materials that John and I have prepared that walk through many aspects of using Adobe Acrobat. One thing that we get questions about all the time is isn't this stuff hard to learn? The truth is it's not, but you have to start playing around with it and be comfortable with the fact that you may not know the answer, but you can find it. Before we started this afternoon, I had mentioned to John there was some way to jump back and forth between something. Neither one of us knew where that tool was, but we found it. And what we're trying to get you to do is be comfortable with using this particular piece of software to get to a point where you're comfortable thinking to yourself, there ought to be a tool that does whatever it is you're trying to do, and get comfortable sort of finding it. But before we sort of get to that point, we want to introduce you to a couple of things. One is there's a particular website that Adobe has that you can watch some videos from their website. In fact, I'll pull it up while we're talking so you can see what that is. Adobe itself has this website, and we'll have the link in the materials, and you can literally pick topics and watch videos. So if you want to create a PDF or convert one, scanning and OCRing, you click on the topic and it will take you to a walkthrough of how to do it. So that link will be in the materials, and it's help.x.adobe.com/acrobat and so on. So they now basically have online their user guide, and you can pick popular topics. And from time to time, just go there and try some things out. Do not try to do this. Like here's one, Acrobat DC tutorials for beginners. So you can go to that site, click on it, and it provides you with video tutorials to walk you through how to do various things, getting to know the interface and so on. So I wholeheartedly encourage you to go to this. There's a beginner level and an experienced level. So try that out. Do not do that right before you're trying to file something in court for a deadline. If that's your first time using this tool, don't do that. But play around with it. You can watch it from your iOS device and so on. So I just wanted to briefly talk about that. I mean, I can't remember if in your book, John has written a book on technology that AAJ publishes. And I can't remember off the top of my head if it has anything about Acrobat or PDFs in it. I don't remember.
It's in there, but it's not as detailed as we're going to get today.
Okay.
It is, yeah.
I'm just trying to plug your book, man.
I appreciate it. Dropping the digital anchor. It's fantastic.
All right. So one of the things that we thought, first of all, we wanted to cover that particular website, and then we'll sort of dive into working our way around some of the interface with Adobe Acrobat, unless you have any other thoughts about doing this. And also we're going to, just so people know, we've got over 100-something people on here. If you have questions, drop them into the chat, and either John and I will try to answer them, or if we think it's sort of a broad enough topic, and we can answer it for everybody at the same time and demonstrate that. So first things first.
The Q&A or the chat are fine. We'll look at both.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So the first things first, which is the interface itself for Adobe Acrobat. Get used to playing around with it. Basically the interface, oops, wrong tool. I go back to I like the spotlight tool. So the interface itself.
Got to share, Justin.
Oh, sorry. It says share. So let me hit stop share. It said it was sharing it. So let's try it again. Da-da-da. Desktop.
There you go.
How about now? Yeah.
You're good.
On my side, it said it was sharing. So all right, there you go. That's technology. All right. So here's a PDF I've opened up. It's just a sample one. And along the top, this is the interface that you have for Acrobat. So I'm just going to go through it real quick. On the left side, there's this little collapsible arrow. In fact, watch this. Let's see if I can make this work. So here you go. Look at that. So on this collapsible arrow. If you click on it, it gets rid of that that collapsible arrow. And there's one on the right side as well. So when you click on this collapsible arrow, it exposes additional information that's available to you on the left or right. So on the left side, you have basically navigation tools. If you click on this one that looks like multiple pages, and I can zoom in for some people. You can see right there. If you click on that, it will bring up the various pages of the particular PDF that you were dealing with. So you can see here that this particular PDF I've opened. Along here, you can see that there are 6, and this shows you the pages that are sort of recreated for you to see. So you can just jump on one. If you want to get to this page and click on it, it immediately takes you there. The other thing that you can do is rotate and some other things here, but this is a tool that's really helpful to allow you to jump to a particular page of a PDF very easily, so you can see what you're getting to, as opposed to simply up here. Let's say you wanted to go to page 1, you can type right up here 1 and hit return. It'll take you to that page, but sometimes just being able to see the page makes it easier. And if you grab this, there's a bar right here. You see what turns in that sort of double I-beam. If you click and hold and drag, then you can spread out the PDF into whichever form if you want to see it. If you want to see a dual column sort of view or 3, then you're able to see that as well. Once you expose that, then this little small mountain to big mountain tool becomes available. If you click and hold, then the size of the PDF you can drag to expose how large you want your preview to be, so that you can see it a little easier to figure out which one you want to jump to. Again, you just click on it, and you notice the blue box around it. That shows you that you're viewing that particular page. So when you click, you'll see it jump. Another thing, while we're sitting here, there's a little black box at this corner right here. If you click and hold on that box, you can actually change what you're looking at, the view of the PDF itself. So when you click and hold that, you can change. I'm pointing. It changed the view of the document itself that you're looking at. And a tip that John told me before we started is it's Command 0. So let's say we'll talk about zooming in. Let's say you've zoomed into a PDF to look at something. To get back to just the view that's 1 page by 1 page, if you, on the Mac, it's Command 0, automatically changes it to that size. On the PC, I think is it
Control 0.
Control 0. So that's just a nice tool to be able to immediately get to the right size to see the whole page. So what we're trying to do is just get you familiar with the interface itself. A couple of the other tools available just under this page thumbnails view is you can rotate a page. Sometimes the pages that you get from the other side, or if you scan them in, will be askew. So if you click on this page and you wanted to rotate it counterclockwise, you can click on this and it will automatically rotate that page and back and forth. And then once you hit save, it will save the document with that page rotated in that orientation if you want it to be like that. All right, so that's the page thumbnails. That's what this thing is right here. Then you have this little bookmark icon. If you click on that, it then shows you, it's almost like a tab in a notebook that will, once you highlight or hover over it and then click on it, it takes you to that page or that location in the PDF. If you've downloaded any PDF manuals online, it's the same kind of thing. So you click on it and it will automatically take you to that particular area. If you want to go to the conclusion, it automatically takes you to that part of the document. And we'll go through in a little bit how you can create the bookmarks, but I wanted you just to get used to some of the navigation tools that are available to you. You can change some of the things that if you have difficulty seeing, or it's harder for you to see some of this text right here as bookmarks. If you click on this icon right here, it allows you to change the text size. If you change it to large, then the bookmark text font becomes larger and makes it easier to see. So again, there's a whole bunch of different kinds of tools that on this side that allow you to adjust how you are seeing the PDF. So if you want to have if you had a whole bunch of bookmarks and want to see them, that's how you could do that. I tend to, now that I'm getting older, I like to have it larger. It's easier to see. Then if you had attachments, you can click right here and those attachments would be available. And recently I had something where I was downloading a file from a bankruptcy court, and the PDF that the bankruptcy court provided included the audio file from the hearing. And so within that PDF attachment, it had the audio file. The reason why I'm telling you that is you can do the same kinds of things when you're creating PDFs. They're not limited to simply what you would traditionally think about as a document to wrap in this PDF format. You can throw in movies, audio files, things like that, that you may want to, if you're preparing a mediation summary, you can put in the PDF, or even for motion hearing, you could put in that PDF what I'll call moving kinds of things, audio or video, that you can drop into the PDF, and that's where those attachments would be. And then when the recipient receives that PDF file, they could go to those particular files to listen or watch video. And so from time to time, I used to, before Dropbox kinds of things became available, I could wrap within the PDF and send, as part of a mediation package, pieces of video deposition clips or audio file, like a 911 call or something that I wanted the adjuster to be able to play and hear, and I didn't have to worry about which kind of computer they had, because the file would automatically play on their system. So I was going to talk about sort of the top things. Did I miss any? Those are just some of the things along the left side. All right,
They have on some the signature on the left and the tags as well, which would be underneath the two if you have those built in.
What now? Sorry.
Sure. On the left side, where you have yours and it goes to the attachment, some versions of Adobe, such as mine, would have in it, you could add signature and also add in tags. Yeah.
All right, so you can add under this, on the side, you can add certain tools, and we'll go through doing some of that stuff. So basically on the left side is navigation. In a nutshell, is navigating the PDF itself. Along the top are various tools that are sort of what we'll call quick tools that are quickly available to you to not only help you navigate the document, but act on the document. So we can comment on the document, add Bates numbers that somebody's asked about. We'll get to that. You can add hyperlinks. So these are tools that you may frequently use that you want quick access to. Like, for example, up here is a highlighter tool in yellow. If I click on that, I can then hover over a particular part of a PDF, select it, and now, well, I say that, what happened to the highlighting? Oh, there it goes. All right. Now it becomes this comment, which has been highlighted. So I can, one of the nice things about Adobe Acrobat is not only can you highlight something, but it treats that highlight as a comment. So it's a combination of a highlighter and a sticky note. And one of the cool things about this, and John will give you some examples, I think, in a moment, is using this tool in this way allows you to, it's like, I'm looking over here at my law school books from 30 years ago. In law school, you would highlight different parts of your document in different colors, which you would hope remind you about something later on. But that's not really helpful when you're in the heat of a trial or a deposition, or if you reviewed certain documents. If you think about combining the ability to highlight and to drop in comments about what you've highlighted to review, that makes you much more prepared to deal with the particular issue. So one of the things that just happened is when I highlighted this language, it created this, I'll zoom in. It created this comment. And one of the things it did was it grabbed the language that I had highlighted and dropped it into the sticky note. Now I can put into this something like, good liability issue, or whatever it might be, or TTD, things to do to follow up, subpoena this material. And you notice where it says post. When you click the word post, what it does is it literally treats it like a comment where other people can comment on this comment. So it becomes a living, breathing document. So if you have it stored on your server and you have different people in your office reviewing a document, they can write back and forth to each other about that particular item. And so, like, one of the things John does in his office, when if you put down here, yeah,
go ahead.
He uses it to internally to have people work on a particular document and comment on it.
So if you have a document like this and you have a note, so if I want to highlight, just like he's talking about, it makes those back and forth, but you can add in somebody at your firm. So you just add, and then the list will come down and you could add it. They'll get a notification to remind them, these are the notes that I want you to comment on the bottom. And therefore that person can then respond in the document internally back to you. And when you have them, you can see on the right here, all the comments are showing. So you can kind of navigate through. But what I like is some of these documents I've made stars and check marks because it might symbolize something inside. So it's like tagging. So where he was talking about this might be great for liability, I might make all the liability orange, and I might want all the damage comments yellow. And so then in the upper right, there's a filter. It looks like a filter, like an actual filter.
Well, first, how about show how to create those
sure.
things and then filter them, because that's helpful.
Yeah, so you've seen how if you highlight, it automatically makes a new comment, and you could type in and say whatever you like on the right side, or it'll have a pop out. Justin, you have it so that it automatically types that which you highlight, right? So
that's set up in the preferences. So I'll write that down to cover.
Yes, we'll pop to that. But the other way to do it, which is nice, is just I have all of these things on the top, which are the tools for the comments. So on the right, he was showing you these arrows, and they are showing you different options, and one of which is the Notes tab, which allows you to add in these different items. So this little box at the top looks like a speaking bubble, is a comment. And then you could just put the comment here and it will create a new comment. This is important.
So what's going on is in Adobe Acrobat, there are different tools that are available to you to comment in different ways. So you can have the highlighter tool, you have a text tool, you have a scribble tool where you can literally write onto a particular document. You can have that sticky note icon that he just showed you. So the point is to get used to the various different tools. You will find at some point there are certain tools you prefer to use. Sometimes I like to use the that sticky note tool because what you type goes away, but you can still see there's a note about it. Like you see where it says health information with his where that there's this yellow thing. If you know there's a note or comment there, and when you hover over it, those words become available to you to see what your comment was, without having to scrub to the right and open up and look at things. So as you're going through a particular document, let's say it's a medical record or a police report, you can create a sticky note which has your thoughts about what you're looking at, and then you close it and it goes away, but you can still see that there was a comment there for you to come back and look at. So part of it is, anyway, go on. You were starting to then get to
that's okay.
I think.
So one of the things is say you made that highlight and you want to change the color, you could always go in and change what you've got on each one to whatever setting. So I've got them all set here. The filters on the top will say, all right, I only want yellow. So I only want the ones that have to do damages. I go to apply and it will get rid of all the ones that aren't yellow. So this way, if you're writing a brief or you want to pull up a particular doctor. So say you do medical records, thousands of medical records, and you code Dr. Smith in blue, Nurse Susie in orange. You can then make it so that when you're writing it to filter by whatever that particular color is that you chose. And then it will take you to those items that are just orange. And similarly, if you want to go to just highlights or pencil or sticky note, those items will then come up. So I've got yellow and orange now. But I just want the pencil, it would take me to the pencil, and so all colors.
Right, and so that's another good example. So let's say you have several depositions in a case in which instead of having, let's say you've got 5 depositions and there are separate PDF files, you can actually combine them into one PDF file, and then as you're going through it, comment or make notes about it, and then you apply that filter tool that John just showed you. And immediately within that one document, let's say you're in the middle of trial and some issue pops up, you can immediately in real time filter that one PDF where you've got all your depositions that you have highlighted in whichever kinds of tools you want to use, and immediately filter out and find the information you want very quickly. So that's that filter tool. Again, I know I feel like we've been talking about filter for a while, but I wanted to,
it's important.
It is, but I wanted to be able to walk through a bunch of tools. But the point is showing you that there's a bunch of different tools that Acrobat has available to you to help you be a better lawyer.
So,
yeah, go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, why don't you show them how to highlight and make the preferences on it, and that way I can get to the next part, which is working on the quick tools.
Okay. All right, so what we're going to do is in some of the preferences, let me share my screen. In Adobe Acrobat, now on the Mac, it'll look different than the PC, but conceptually, you go to the preferences. In Adobe, there's a whole bunch of preferences that you ought to buzz through and look at because it allows you to set up Acrobat in a way that makes it easier for you to work with. So for example, here's the commenting preference that I would suggest changing some settings from the default. One of which, let me change the annotation. So the first preference is there's one called commenting. You can change as a default the size of the font. So one of the questions we're going to address is Bates numbering at a certain font size. But let's say here's my particular comments that are set at 10-point font. If you find that difficult to read, you can change it as a default to 14. You can, all these kinds of things have different meanings. A couple of ones that I like to change from the default is where it says copy selected text into highlight, strike through, underline, replace. What happens is when you highlight the text, I'll show you the difference between it. So with this selected, when I select some text, it will now automatically copy the text I have highlighted into the comment. So now I can see it. So then the drive appears right here in the comment. So later on, when you're going through your Acrobat notes on just the, you can actually print just your comments. You can actually figure out what it was on the comment side that you have selected and think about why you've done that. And so as you're looking at it, yeah, I can see that the particular language right here is the language that's highlighted, and then my thoughts about it are right there. So when I highlight over it, we go through this. Now somebody was asking about OCR. So that's one preference that I think is important to set related to copy selected text in the highlights. The other thing is you can have nested sticky notes. Play with some of these tools. One that I think is really important to change is under general right here under preferences. One of the things that people may use, and I'm going to jump subject just for a second, is let's say you've got a particular PDF that is a piece of a document or a contract that you're going to be using in a presentation for whatever reason. So let me look at, I'll pull up a PDF real quick. Let's say for whatever reason, I wanted to have in a, as part of a presentation, I gotta close this first. Try to open up my PDF. All right, so let's say for whatever reason, I wanted to copy a part of a document into a presentation or into a Word document. Adobe Acrobat has a tool available to you called a Snapshot Tool, which is under somewhere. I know it's there. Here's in real time. I know there's something called Snapshot Tool. So what I do is I just go to the help. And it says more, take a snapshot. There it is. So it's under edit. So in real time, you can see, I don't know where all the tools are. I know I have a particular tool available. So you can go to help, you start typing, and then it walks you through how to get there. So you go edit, more, and here's this thing called take snapshot. So when you do this, you select what you're going to copy, you let go, and it copies that piece of something into memory. You can now go into your presentation file and paste into it that part of the PDF, and it's now part of the document. What you can see is that is available to you to now use. You can do the same thing in Word. You could paste that part of the PDF into your Word document. When you do that,
Justin,
though, yep.
When you're done,
yep.
Ginger's back.
Yeah, I saw that. I was just going to show right here where it says, when you do that, the default is like something like 95 or 75 fixed resolution. Bump this up to 300. Then your image that you are copying into memory and dropping into your presentation or your Word document will not be so pixelated. That's what I was going to say about that. So now Ginger's back, so I got to stop sharing. What was I supposed to do?
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. You guys are doing such a great job. Yeah, I just want to take a quick break because I want to bring in a couple of our amazing partners so they can share with everybody all of the great work that they do. And the first one I'm going to bring in is Cody, who works with Fox AE. And he's going to be with us here today to share with you guys a little bit more about what he does. And definitely take note because the work that they do is incredible, you guys. You're going to want to save his information after he speaks because he's going to put it in the chat box. But welcome, Cody. Thanks for being back with us today. And it is a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Ginger, and Justin and John. Thank you for your presentation. Actually, I was thinking about that attachment function that you guys discussed. And so I'm Cody. I'm the owner of a science and engineering graphics studio. So we make demonstratives. And I'll tell you, I've seen attorneys in mediation packages, like you mentioned, and demand letters. They use that attachment function and they actually attach media. So attaching animations, attaching demonstrative exhibits, things like that. And, they say, this makes my demand letter a lot more complete, a lot more compelling, easier to understand. And so I just want to show you kind of an example. You guys, John and Justin, you both said that you do MedMal, or it was mentioned. And I'll just show you a case in which you guys can, you can attach this to your PDFs. And so here's a demonstrative that you can put in your demand letters or your mediation packets. But specifically, this was a CT scan that the radiologist missed and misdiagnosed. They thought that the CT scan was a brain stroke. In fact, it was a brain tumor. They gave the wrong medicine and it caused death, okay? And it was due to this misdiagnosis. So what we did in this demonstrative was we showed the stark differences pictorially, an illustrative illustration where based on the CT scan, they should have known that this was a tumor. When in fact it was a stroke is what they thought it was. And so we show illustratively the difference there. And when you attach that to a demand letter and you do that via PDF or even animations, it can really make a difference. And so thank you. I'm learning a lot, especially with the tagging, Justin and John. So thank you for your presentation.
Cody, hey, thank you so much. And I want to thank you and your company and your wife for what you're doing in being one of our new sponsors here with Connectionology Seminars of America. I will tell Jonathan and Justin, please look right in back of where Cody's seated. He keeps that picture of me on the wall behind him. And I keep telling him, just keep it on up there. But great job. We love what you're doing. And I want everybody to know our firm, this goes back really a few months now. We met Cody and Vicky at a meeting. I saw what they had to offer, and I said, that's some incredible work that you all are doing. And we started working with them on some cases. We're going to work with you on a lot more cases. I love your attitude. I love your responsiveness. You all are high energy, so engaged and enthusiastic, and that makes all the difference in the world to those of us who are working with someone on a case. And the fact that you're an engineer with that kind of a background is just incredible. So thank you for being here. Thanks for being a part of this. And you're even putting up with Justin Kahn. So that's a big ask.
Thank you so much, guys. Thanks, John.
I almost grabbed my bumper sticker, John, but I decided not to.
Cody, I grabbed that sample you put up and I attached it into my PDF to show everybody. So I thought that was pretty neat.
Great. Hey,
Oh, Lord. And also, Cody, thank you again for all the remarkable work that you do. Everything is so realistic. So I really hope that people will reach out to you after this. They'll stay in touch. Don't forget to put your information in the chat box, okay? And then we're going to see you back here on Thursday.
You bet. Thanks, Ginger.
Thanks, Cody. And then now it is my pleasure to introduce Mike Seeley with HMR. And you guys, Mike is an incredible guy. He works with an amazing team over there. He's going to share with you guys a little bit more about what they specialize in, but they're doing such good work and we cannot say enough good things about this company. So Mike, take it away, my friend.
Thanks, Ginger. Ginger, Justin, John. I'm Mike Seeley. I'm the Southern Regional Sales Manager for HMR. I'm based in Texas, but I cover other states as well. HMR is a medical funding company. So we give out three types of medical funding. One is your traditional medical funding, where we have networks of providers that you can work with us on nationwide for things like traumatic brain injuries, major surgeries, burns, amputations, those types of procedures. The other type is pre-settlement funding. These dollars can be used for everyday living expenses for your clients, maybe to provide payments to a provider that you can't work with. It's in your kind of your normal network. We can arrange a cash payment on their behalf. These funds can be used for transportation costs, to see different types of providers or experts. And the third type of funding that we do is case cost funding. And these funds are available for things like life care plans, 3D accident reconstructions, any costs that are associated with your case. We can offer all three of these programs are at great interest rates, and we're able to provide them after a little bit of underwriting on our part, make sure it's a good business decision. We move forward, and it doesn't always have to be our way. If you have a special way, a special circumstance that you want to try something on, pick up the phone, give us a call. We love to work with you. We have some really great partners across the country, and we're always happy to meet someone new. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Oops, there. Mike, thank you. Thank you for all you're doing at HMR with Connectionology. You know, you all have been there a long time for us and with us. And when we go back to the pandemic, when, I don't know, I think that was kind of risky what a lot of people were doing because nobody knew what was coming next. You all were right there with us every step of the way. So I can't thank you enough for all you've done, sponsoring seminars, sponsoring webinars. We work with HMR. The reason we work with HMR, you all are responsive. You vet, analyze, assess, evaluate the cases, the lawyer, the law firm, the client, the medical records, everything, in order to see, is this something that makes sense for the good of the client? And to me, that's so very, very important. And no matter what happens, none of us are going to get it right all the time. It's like me evaluating a case. We do our best, but it has just been a pleasure working with you all. We are enjoying the relationship, and I want it to continue a long time. And we're going to keep working with you for a long time.
That sounds good. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you again so much for everything that you do, Mike. And don't forget to put your information in the chat box as well. And then also at the end of this webinar, I'm going to share everybody's contact information so we can all stay in touch.
That sounds good.
We'll see you again soon, okay? And
Thank
then I know you'll be announcing, coming back at the end of the webinar to announce the big coffee winner. So
I will. People usually treat you pretty well if you bring something to give away. So we like to stick around and give some away at the end.
Looking forward to it.
Get any?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Mike. And then Justin and John, back to you guys.
Justin, you mind if I show what I swiped from AE?
I want to, Jonathan, Justin, let me just show one thing, because I had told them at the beginning what happens with the split screen. So I went out and gathered up some really eager volunteers to take 1 minute to show this to you. So
there are people off the street.
Michelle's going to come in and go over here. Okay, now watch what happens.
There we go.
All right, you see how that works? Okay, so, okay, Charlene, come on in. If you would go up right next to the second chair. Okay, and keep watching. And now it's refocusing. Now we're in 3 screens. And then Nancy, my wife Nancy, we're getting ready to celebrate year number 52. If you would stand up here, right here, there, and I'm gonna move back here.
Oh, boys and their toys.
Yeah, except that I noticed that it properly keeps John and Nancy together, not separated.
Did you notice that?
Magic.
Oh,
magic.
there goes the split. Sorry.
Okay, but what I want everybody to see is just this is so extraordinary what is going on with technology. And if you're broadcasting, if you're doing a podcast from your office, you're doing webinars, If you're taking a deposition and you want to show exhibits and move around, and it's a remote deposition, what a great thing to do. Anyway, with that, I'll turn it back to the two of you. Jonathan, Justin.
Thank you. That's fantastic. So I just had a cool idea when Cody was talking from Fox AE about his information. So I was like, there's different ways you could do that attachment, aside from just putting it on the side as an attachment of the item, is if you were to insert. So on the organized page, somebody had asked about duplicates. Here is on the right, there's a thing called organized page. So if you select that, you can see all the different pages all at once. So you can see if there are duplicates. You can kill them out by just selecting and hitting control. And from here, you can delete all the ones that are matched or anything of that nature. But
hold on, while you're showing that, at the bottom right, you can zoom in and out. So if you've got a whole bunch of documents or pages of the PDF, you can zoom in and out to see more at a time, which might help the person with the many pages.
Yeah. So one of the neat things is you could add at the end from a file. So if you go to insert and from a file and you get, say, a screenshot, I called it sample of what I got of his, it will add at the end that document is now part of the new PDF. So I can now, if you go back to the document, now it's the next page at the end is his particular handout. So if I was up here and I wanted this electronic medical records to link to that attachment, which is now an additional page, you would create that with the link item. Okay, so that is add or edit links, and you can do add or edit a document link. There, a box will pop up and it's going to show you, so I'm here now selecting electronic medical records. I want it to go to a page view. So a different thing in this document. And it will then say, all right, scroll down till you get to the end, which of course is 33 pages, but to where you want it to go and set that page as your link.
I grab the thing on the far right and drag it down.
Yeah, I'm just, here's what it is. So once you're there, you hit set link, and that has now turned this into a link to that document. So if I was to go back to the arrow key, it takes me right to it.
So basically what John was showing is a hyperlink, a quick way to create a way to create a hyperlink within a PDF to jump you back and forth, or the reader back and forth between different parts of the PDF. So that's slightly more advanced, but the point is there are all these tools available to you to allow you to jump around within a document itself. And that was one he went through using the link tool, the hyperlink tool.
There's another neat hyperlink as well you could do that's different than that, so you don't have to add it as a page, but it does create, it fears people that are outside. So same link page, and you create a new link, and we'll do it on the introduction setting. Instead of doing the go to a page view, you can open a file and you can attach it to your handout. And then, so now it is still a box. So if somebody was to go on to the introduction and click it, it will say, hey, do you want to open this? Yes. And it will open in a separate version, that file. So it doesn't have to actually jump to another page. It could be an external link now built into these items. Now you can't see the link. It appears here because I have it set to invisible. But you can make the rectangle visible and pick your color. And so that way somebody knows that it could do something. Most people do blue because blue usually is indicative of a hyperlink. So you could change it. Instead of not seeing anything, you can now see that it'll jump there. And actually, Justin, we were talking about this earlier. You showed me the extra tool which we added to the edit tools at the top. One of the things was this takes us down to this last page, but now with the last page, how do I get back to where I was if I was in the middle? And we were talking, and it was funny. You were talking about the alternate, and then left brings you back, and alternate right takes you forward of the last two items you did. But we added it, which are these two arrows at the top on the quick toolbar. The quick toolbar is my favorite thing in the world because I don't like trying to locate something on the right that often if it's something I use all the time, like the links or the highlight tool or the pencil. They're all up on my quick toolbar. And when you right click, you can customize that toolbar to have, say, the highlighter tool in it. So you just find, all right, we know it's under
So what you're looking
where-
at is a list of potential tools you can add to that top toolbars, and then change and modify not only which ones are added, but in the order in which they appear as well.
Correct. So if I wanted the links moved to the left, I go like this and it moves it over here. So whatever you want to add up, you just go add up, and it now added the stamps in. If that's what I want, save, it will change and then add that stamps up here to the
So-
top toolbar. So
So
think
that's
of
a
like
way you can add. So if there's particular tools you know you're going to be using often, like the highlighter tool or the sticky note tool or a page back tool or a hyperlink tool, you can add those tools to that top toolbar as a sort of a quick access way to get to things. So again, that's just a way that you can format or tweak Acrobat to work more like the way you do. I was going to work through real quick OCRing a document, finding problems with it, because I think that's a basic concept that people need to get and understand in order to work with documents. So so what I've got up here is just I've scanned in a newspaper article. Now, a couple things with this. The human eye that you need to get in terms of what this concept is called OCR, or optical character recognition. You as a human being hopefully have learned the ability to see the text and be able to read it. Adobe Acrobat, when a document is scanned in that is not OCR'd or is not directly from a Word file, it's just a picture to Adobe Acrobat until you act on it using one of the tools available to you in Acrobat called OCR, or optical character recognition. So here I've scanned in a newspaper article, and it's great, but it's in a way that, I like to rotate it. So you can use remember we talked about the rotate tool. So you can expose this and click on this one page right here and rotate it to the right. So now this one particular page is rotated in the correct orientation so that I can see it. The next page is like this, and I want to rotate that one right there. So now both pages are in the right orientation, but even though I can read the words, let me make it a little bigger so you can see. Even though I can read the words, the program itself does not yet have the ability to scan through. Let's assume you've got a medical record or a driving record or some other document, or even discovery responses from the other side that have been provided to you in a paper form that has been scanned in, but not yet OCR'd. Using the OCR tool built into Acrobat, you can do that. I've got that as one of my quick tools, which is right here, this AA. So you click on that, I'm going to tell it to in this file. But if you don't have that, if you go to Find Tools and you know you want to OCR, right here, you would type in OCR, and then it automatically pulls up that tool available for you. So you click on Recognize Text, which is what we want to do. And this, you notice on the left, we're now under the Scan and OCR sort of section of Acrobat. And these various tools are available to you, including Bates numbering, which we'll get to in a moment. So if I click on Recognize Text, Acrobat will begin the process of trying to take the letters that you and I see as letters, turn it into text, which it will invisibly lay over the PDF so that when you search, it will find the invisible text to you, but Acrobat sees it and the text that you see is below that. So that's a very long way of saying I'm just going to click this button, Recognize Text. And when it does that, you see Acrobat tells you that it's going through this process of recognizing text. When it does that, to you and to our eyes, nothing seems to have changed, but a lot actually has. You can now actually see that there's this I bar. Is that spotlight in the way of seeing the I bar? Let's see. Annotate. Nope, I turned it back on. All right. So now when you, that's using Acrobat tools. I'm trying to get rid of the, here we go, mouse. All right, so I don't know if you can see this or not. Let me see if I can zoom in or not. Okay, I can. All right, so when I zoom in, you see this little I bar. It looks just like the letter I. That tells me that Adobe Acrobat is now seeing this as text, because now when I start to try to highlight over it, if I hold down and scrub to the right, it will then select it. Acrobat now sees this as some kind of text, but you don't know if it sees it correctly. So one of the things you can do is you click back on this Recognize Text button, this drop down, And one of the things that you see is correct recognized text. Somebody asked about this. So let's say you've scanned in some medical records and you're concerned that it's not going to find the text correctly, which you should be. The better the scanned in version and the better and crisper the text starts off, the more likely the Acrobat is going to correctly translate it. But that's not always the case. So if you click on this correct recognize text button, Acrobat will go through and try to identify things that may or may not be correct. So you see a bunch of these little red things up here. It's telling me it's recognized this. If you highlight on it, you see it's found this and it's recognized this as ... which may or may not be right. So it's trying to find, like right here, here's the word shootings. If I click on this red box, it then reproduces what it sees up here as the image, and it's telling me it's recognizing it as shootings with a dash, which does not appear down here. So that's not, it hasn't quite accurately recognized it. So what you can do is within here, you just correct it. You get rid of that dash and you say now accept. And now the word will correctly appear to Acrobat in its mind when you're searching through that stuff. So you can go through your Acrobat document or Adobe Doc or your PDF and go through and try to find the various kinds of potential errors using this correct recognize text tool to see if it finds errors. So I think that was one of the questions somebody had. The other thing is that it's going to do a better job of finding text than if you have, especially if it's a medical record or something like this police report that's in handwriting. Acrobat's not going to do a very good job of finding and converting into recognizable text handwriting. So if you are going to be OCRing a large file like a hospital chart, and it's not so often anymore, but in the past, some charts would be in handwriting and in text. It was very unlikely that the handwriting part of it would be properly recognized. So that a tip is, if you're going to be OCRing things, assume handwriting will not be recognized. Assume poorly scanned in, hard to read fonts won't be recognized. And the better it's printed, the better, the more likely that it will be able to find text like that. While we're doing that, I guess I can talk about the difference between find and search. Let's see. So let's go back to this. Did I cover anything about the OCR? I think the person was asking the question about the OCR. So that, I just want to walk through how you can correct it and performing the OCR. So another thing is, let's say you've got a very large PDF. I'm trying to see if I got, here's one. I'm trying to look for a larger file. Okay, let's do something like this. All right, so here's a document that I scanned in from, well, I'll just go back to this. Let's do sample memo. Look, one of the things that happens is if you're looking for, somebody's asking, what if you got a 10,000 page document and you're trying to find some text? So a good example, that might be a hospital record. So let's say you've scanned in and OCR'd a hospital chart, or somebody has provided you as a PDF an OCR'd chart. Built into Acrobat is a tool called, it's different tools. One's called Find and one is called Search. And there's an important difference between them. On the Mac side of things, you want, try this side. If you do Command F, this drop down thing here appears for the word find. And if you're looking for the word, here I've got some Latin phrases in here. So let's just type in the word oot. It shows me that the word oot appears 35 times. That's what this shows. So I know that that appears 35 times in this document. If you've got a document that's 10,000 pages, then that number might be much higher. And you know in your mind, you're trying to find oot next to whatever it might be. If you hit return right here and you hit next, it will, see, that's the oot appears within the word south. You hit next, it appears within authority. And so you're sitting here trying to find, there it is, it's finally right here next in between whatever that is and this, whatever this is. So find allows you to, in a particular order, a sequential fashion, find every time the word oot would appear. which is a pain when you're trying to find it in a particular context. On the Mac, if you do Shift Command F, oh, that's not it. That's full screen. Option Command F. I think. Let me go back. Let me get my, just enlarge my screen. Da, da, da. I want to go to search. So Command F versus Shift Command F. There, that's what it is. Yep. So on this other side, this, when you do Shift Command F on the Mac, this search window appears. What that allows you to do is look for particular text, not necessarily in a sequential fashion, but in context. So if I'm going to type in the word oot here, I then have other choices which are not selected by default, which you want to modify. Right here where it shows include comments and bookmarks. Sometimes if you have certain words, let's say your TTD or at your keywords that are in your comments, when you're searching for them, they may not be in your PDF. So when you're doing the search, it's not going to include in the search your comments or your bookmarks when you want it to. So make sure to include comments and bookmarks in this preference for search. So what I've done is I've selected the word oot. It can be case sensitive and so on. So now what I'm going to do is click on the search button. And what it's going to do is produce to me or show me in the context in which, let me get rid of this thing, the context of the word oot appears. So now if I just click on, let's say I wanted this particular one, if I click there, it automatically takes me to that particular page of the PDF. So that's a quick, I'll call it a lesson about the difference between find and search. I was going to talk about Bates numbers unless you've got something else to talk about.
You know, Christopher asked a good question, and it kind of would be neat. If you don't mind, I'll share that one.
Yeah.
So sometimes, like, I added in that picture at the bottom, and the page doesn't match the size as the one before. So that if you try to upload it to eCourse or something, it'll laugh at you. If you try to, print it, it'll be quirky. So how do you make them all the same? A real easy, simple one to do it that I do is you go to print, and you, instead of printing, just switch it to Adobe PDF. So you're actually printing from a PDF to another PDF, and instead of fit, do shrink your oversized pages. And when you hit it, it's going to ask you to save it somewhere. Rename the file, whatever you want. I'll, name it B. It will then save that file and convert it. And when the new one opens up, all the pages will now be the same size. So it is a nice way to get everything in. So if you look at the final product, which should come up in like 10 seconds. There it is. And you go all the way to the bottom, it will now have fixed that page to the same size as the others.
Oh, cool.
So that way you don't have to worry about it.
All right, and that's something that we can show how to deal with when you're dealing with Bates numbering as well. When you have that issue where you have a particular document which might bleed past the margins and you want your Bates numbers to appear, but you don't, especially if you're dealing with something on an appeal or otherwise, you don't want to have the Bates number hide or block and impair the view of part of a document. So we'll walk through Bates numbers real quick. I didn't see if there's other questions on it, but let's talk about the idea of Bates numbering. For those of you who know, oftentimes, whether you're dealing with an appeal or when you're providing discovery responses, you need to have particular Bates numbers, or you want to have Bates numbers that appear. And so one way to do that is in Acrobat. It has a tool to, in the old days, and I'm sure we still have them in the office, it was a physical stamp. And every time you press down on the piece of paper, it would automatically increment by 1 the particular number. So now in Adobe Acrobat, what you can do is create Bates numbering as follows. I'm just going to put this the right size. Let's get rid of this. Again, I can't remember where that damn tool is. So if you just go up here where it says Find Tools, I type in Bates, and it will show me, aha, there it is. You click on it. And now it presents me with, I want to add Bates numbers is what I want to do to this particular document. I'm going to click on OK. And then now what's going to happen is this. Oh, I want to add new ones. So one of the ways it allows you to do this is it's going to pull up this cool tool. So all I did was basically pick the PDF that I want to add Bates numbers to. And this particular window will appear. And what it's showing you, once you wrap your head around what it is, then it becomes pretty easy. This is showing you the top view of the PDF page, and this is showing you the bottom view. So if you want your Bates numbers to appear here at the bottom of the PDFs, which would correspond right here to this lower part of the document, if you wanted your Bates numbers to appear here or to the right, that's where you're going to add the certain information. So we're going to use it as the center footer text. So I'll click right here. And now it will automatically put in Bates numbers using Arial font size 8. I like to have it a little larger so it's a little easier for me to see. And I happen to like using the color blue, but whatever. So you can pick and choose whichever way you want it to be. Let's use this color blue. So now when I'm going to add the Bates numbers, and you'll see an example in a second, we're going to insert, you have a choice of adding a Bates number versus a date. So let's say there's a question there about Bates numbers to password protected documents. There's no trick to it. You add, well, you might have to unpassword protect a document first, but let's just deal with one thing at a time. So I'm going to put in, let's say I want to have, this is going to be plaintiffs. And you see, as I type, this center footer text appears where it's going to be in the document. So you can get a sense of what it's going to look like. So let's say this is plaintiffs, production, and you now want to insert a Bates number. All I've done is I've put in the text that I want to appear in front of the Bates number. That's all I've typed in. I hit a space, and now I'm going to say insert a Bates number. So I can hit insert Bates number. How many digits do I want? Do I want it up to 6? So if you're producing 10 or 100,000 documents, how many do you want it to be? One of the things that you can sort of see is this. Let's say you've already produced some documents that are 1 through 100, and you want to start this next set at 101. So you can start the number here at 101 instead of 100. Also, you can put in a prefix here. So if you wanted to be, plaintiff production here, you can do it instead of up here. Or you can also put, if you want to put the word confidential, whatever it might be, it'll then appear after the text. So I want to hit OK, and it's going to show me, I'm going to get rid of this first. Let's just start over. Let's try it over. So what I'm going to do is type in, I want to insert a Bates number. 6, start at number 1. Prefix will be plaintiff, production. I hit a space, and I'm going to hit OK. And now what it will do is it inserts, and this is what it's going to look like at the bottom of the first page of the document. Plaintiff production 0001, which is, and then it created this little code that Adobe keeps up with in the beginning, or it keeps up when it's trying to print, as to how things will appear. If you want to put a date, you can insert date, and so on. One of the cool things that I think is important to do is before you hit anything, if you go to appearance options, one of the things that you can do is you have this choice of shrink document to avoid overwriting the document's text and graphics. So if you click on this right here, when you create the Bates number for this particular document, if documents that you had, let's say, are medical records or newspaper articles, whatever it is, that go past the typical margin of 1 inch or a ½ inch, it bleeds all the way towards the end. Acrobat will automatically shrink that particular page to allow the Bates number to appear below it without obliterating it. And a lot of courts rules require that when you produce something Bates numbered, that you don't obliterate, or if you're going to have something marked confidential, that you're not hiding or masking part of that document. So I just want to show you where that is under appearance options. You can shrink the document to avoid overwriting. And when you hit OK, once you're satisfied with this, and hit OK again, Acrobat now adds the Bates numbers that quickly, and it tells you it's done it, to all these pages. So there the Bates number appears, and it's sitting right there that easy. Now let's say you say to yourself, oh my goodness, those are the wrong Bates numbers. I didn't want to use those. I needed to start at 100 or whatever it is. Within Acrobat, you can actually delete the Bates numbers. So you can click on this. I go back here to this Bates tool. If you go to Bates, one of the things is instead of adding Bates numbers, you can click on this and remove them. So I'm going to hit remove, and it automatically takes out all those Bates numbers so you can start the process over. So I just wanted to walk through adding Bates numbers real quick, how to position it, setting up the size, protecting from overwriting into the document itself, starting from new positions or a new number values. So if you want to start from a prior production, I think we went through all that stuff. Anything else? I'll let you do another topic. I just was I wanted to make sure I covered Bates numbering. And we did OCR. Anything? What else? Now we got more stuff to cover, but
But
go on.
So I was going to answer the question about the password protected. Not
Oh, yeah.
entirely sure you should do it this way, but there is the way to do it.
What's the question for the password?
The question was, how do you debate something that's password protected if you don't have the password? I assume you produce something and it's got a protection on it, so you can't edit it. So they've set a password protected edit. So similar to the other function, and I'm going to share my screen so you can kind of see it. So if I went in, let's break first before we do it, because it looks like we have another sponsor. So let's do that.
Okay, fabulous. Thank you guys so much. I'm already seeing how helpful this has been. And I did want to remind everybody that after this webinar, I will email everyone a special handout from Justin and John. And then I'm going to post this special recording of this webinar to our Connectionology YouTube channel, so you can refer back to it. But in the moment, let me go ahead and bring in Miss Dawn. She is incredible, and she works with On Point Legal Nurse Consulting. She's going to tell you guys a little bit more about what they do over there at On Point. And I can tell you this, it's amazing what they do, and a variety of things that they cover as well. Dawn, thank you so much for being here with us today. Tell us a little bit more about all the things you guys do.
Hey, Ginger, thanks for having me today. I'm Dawn Montagno. I'm the program director for the Expert Witness Location Program at On Point Legal Nurse Consulting. And we're a nationwide litigation support team. We provide comprehensive services, and we really try to support your team at the earliest part of your case. So a lot of talk of OCR and Bates stamping and all that fun stuff. And, we can start at the beginning to get medical records, actually get the records, retrieve them, which is so difficult for so many offices. A lot of our attorneys tell us that they're short-staffed, and it just eats up, a ton of time. So we can help you with that. We then have nurses that organize in OCR the charts for you, which makes it more easy for the experts to navigate. And it's great having nurses do this, because the nurses are the ones that can most readily identify what records are missing and appropriately put them in order. Once those nurses have completed the organization, if you would like, we can do a chronology. Some offices use paralegals, and paralegals are smart cookies and they can do a great job, but they don't always have the same medical knowledge and basis for analyzing a chart while doing a chronology. Our nurses will do chronologies and include a summary and analysis, weaknesses and strengths of your case. Of course, we're not going to put weaknesses into your report if you don't want them in there. We can just have a verbal conversation with that. And it can really just help you identify possible defense management strategies so that you're well prepared going into your case. When we do chronologies, we'll reference those Bates stamping numbers so that if you want to look back at the record and see where did we get this, it's easy to identify exactly what the source was. And something else, when John Romano's on, he always loves to talk about our pain and suffering reports. We can actually either do a comprehensive pain and suffering report, or we can kind of include it in a summary and chronology. And that's really up to you. And we like to have a conversation with you about exactly how you might use this report, if you think you might want the writer to testify, or if you think you wouldn't. And that would depend on how we presented that pain and suffering report. And in addition to nursing reports and chronologies, we also provide nursing, medical, and ancillary personnel experts. And our experts are carefully vetted. I've been a nurse for about 35 years. I did ER, critical care, operating room administration. So I'm very happy to just have a conversation with you about your case and help you identify the best experts. I always tell my attorneys, I want to give you what you want, not necessarily what you ask for. So sometimes attorneys call me and they say, I want a general surgeon, and we talk about the case, and you really didn't want a general surgeon, you wanted somebody in another specialty. There just are so many subspecialties and little niches. So, I'll have that conversation with you. It doesn't cost anything to talk to me. And I'm not too scary, I won't bite. But we can talk about experts, and then I reach out to experts and I try and give them a brief fact pattern. And, you know, based on the small amount of facts, I can't guarantee that they're going to support a case. But if they tell me based on the facts, they know that they're not going to get behind a case, I'm not going to have you pay money to have that expert review a case when I could have told you, you know, with a brief phone call that it was something that they couldn't get behind. So we try and be really respectful of your resources. And, you know, once you send records to the expert, we'll actually provide a secure link to which you can upload the records. Makes it easy to track and is secure. You know, if they can't support a case, they're going to help you understand what the holes are and why. And it's always better to find out that you don't have a case early rather than at the end of the case. And we also help quantify damages with life care plans and medical cost projections. I think most of you are familiar with life care plans, which are typically reserved for more catastrophic cases. A medical cost projection is kind of like a mini life care plan. Rather than go through and review 5,000 pages of records and do an exam, the life care planner can actually work off of treating physician or IME physician recommendations for future care, which is often just a couple of pages. So really a lot more cost effective and is great for like little things, you know, where you might have, you know, a fractured ankle. I had one fractured ankle case. I think the attorney spent about $2,000 on a cost projection and estimated that it increased their case value by $87,000. So that's pretty good return on investment. So we can help you with, you know, everything from soup to nuts, getting the records all the way through to your experts who were able to testify. I'm happy to talk with you about your case. So I'll pop my info up in the chat box and would love to talk to some of you later today.
Dawn, that was terrific. Thank you. And thank you all for all that you at On Point are doing to help us at Connectionology. Your sponsorship has been amazing. You all have been there right with us since the beginning when the pandemic started, and you know, we were doing seminars and had to make that transition, and your support and the way you've partnered up with us has just been extraordinary. But I also want everybody to know, though, is there's a reason our law firm works with you, and so many of the lawyers that I know work with On Point. And I'm going to give an example that I haven't used before, but if I may, let's pick someone who currently is the single greatest NBA basketball coach in America, whoever that might be. And everything about him or her is that that person knows everything there is to know about coaching. Now let's say I'm in charge of the NFL draft for my NFL team. I don't care how great that basketball coach is. He or she is not skilled with the necessary tools to evaluate football talent for the NFL draft. And if we're trying to figure out, do we bring in a particular defensive back or not? That basketball coach comes from a different world. When lawyers are evaluating cases, for example, when we interview clients and certain witnesses, we come from a different world of interviewing than the nurse, which is why we call upon you at On Point often to do what we call the nurse interviews. Is that my phone doing that? I think it might, I don't know.
Your camera thing doesn't find that?
No, I don't know. It should, but it's so important because the legal nurse consultant comes at it from a different perspective, and that person brings out different information. They go through the records in a different way than we, as a lawyer, find. I look at the records, and this is important to me. A nurse looks at the same record, said, no. Here's what's important. So anyway, I think it is just so very, very important. We are working with On Point. We are blessed to have this great relationship with you all. We're going to keep working with you. You all are game changers in cases. I want everybody to know a legal nurse consultant changes the result in your cases. I'm done.
Appreciate
you.
it. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sean,
job.
for sharing that. And Dawn, thank you for all that you do. Be sure to put your information in the chat box so everybody can reach out to you, okay?
Yep, sure will. Thanks, Ginger.
And now Justin and John, I'm going to turn it back over to you because we still got a little more to cover. Is that right?
Yep, no problem. So I wanted to answer one of the questions about if they go and password protect part of your production to you. So this is now, I've taken the document and I've password protected so you can't edit it. So if you went and tried to edit it,
Well, no, actually, why not go on and show people while you're doing that how to password protect a document in case they need to do that when they're sending something out.
then let me open a new document because it's not going to let me on this one. So let's go to this one.
So let's say from time to time you're sharing a client's medical records or tax returns or something like that, and you want to protect that document so other people can't open it without having the password. John's going to walk you through doing that. And just as a sort of a practice pointer, one of the ways we also handle that is we may send the PDF to whoever it is on the other side and send a separate email with a password so the two are not in the same email. But anyway.
No, fantastic. So if you have a document, there's a business card I scanned in, no real relevance. You go to File, and there's going to be Protect Using Password. And that will bring up the ability to put a password on. And you can make it so that people can't view it without the password, or they can't edit it without the password. And then you just type a password in. Okay? And that will then set that document as password protected. So I have done that and made this document viewable, which is kind of what you're talking about. How do you bait stamp something that you're not allowed to edit? And so normally when you would put a header or footer in, it's now telling you got to put the password in. There are two ways to beat the password. The one way is similar to the way I was talking about making the pages all the same. So you're going to go to print and print a PDF. However, you can't print to Adobe PDF because if you do, it will still be password protected. If you print to Microsoft a PDF, it will remove all of the passwords. If you don't have printed Microsoft on it, there's another loophole. You take your Chrome or your web browser, you take the document that is blocked and click and drag it into your browser. And from here, you print to PDF. And now you have a password-free, editable document to go with. So I'm not entirely sure that is what that is. That's called hacking, whatever, but it's a nice, easy way to make it so that you can edit and add your Bates numbers and everything to it, which I think is quite useful for all of us. I wanted to add one other thing on it.
Sure, and here's another workaround while you're talking about that. Here's a manual workaround. Print the document somebody sent you, then scan it in, and then you can mark it up.
Yeah, I'm saving the scan.
I understand, but I mean,
yeah,
because there's some ways that somebody sends you a document. Now, there used to be some programs that you could break password protection on. Some of those may be available, but anyway, that another easy way to do it is just print it, scan it in, and then you can mark it up.
Yeah, it's a big addition. I wanted to add Marquee Zoom just because I find it fun. So when you're looking at, I use, now that we're in the world of remote deps, there are many times I pull up a PDF during the deposition, share the screen like this, and I want to mark it up or make a live exhibit out of it. And one of the things I added in is called Marquee Zoom, which allows you to go into any PDF and call it out. And so that is a fun way to, when you're working something, wait, I want to talk about this paragraph. All right, well then let's go there. And it pulls up that portion. And that, remember, Control-0 is just thoughts about to go back down, allows you to go back out of it. So there are quick ways to go. I did want to add in case somebody has an iPhone or something like that, a neat thing that Adobe has is called Adobe Scan. And so I'm going to share my phone, see if that works.
Yeah, it's a separate app. You can go to the App Store, download. I think it's free. And if you have the Adobe subscription, everything we've been talking about, by the way, there's a free version of Adobe Reader, which doesn't allow you to do a bunch of this stuff or any of this stuff. Acrobat DC, which is Document Cloud, is a subscription service. But if you're a practicing attorney, you can see how valuable this service is. And one of the things that you have as part of the service is on some of your iOS or other devices, you can then access the cloud and some of your various documents. We haven't even gotten to ways to sort of store a document that you've worked on in the office. It can be uploaded into Adobe Acrobat's cloud. Then when you pull up your iPad on a train, if you're in New Jersey, or on an airplane, you can then pull up that document on your iOS device without being at your computer because it's been loaded into the cloud. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
Go on.
No, that's fine. And what I was trying to say is that the Adobe Scan can do kind of what you're talking about. It scan business cards into your contacts. It can scan documents directly into your PDF viewer. Just a nice quick additive, because you had mentioned scanning, and you don't need to have a fancy scanner. Sometimes if it's a small document, you could just use your phone and it will send it directly in. That's how I did the business card here, because I just took a business card, scanned it in and went. So go ahead, Justin.
All right, one of the things that I wanted to, as time is sort of running out, I want to give a couple of other examples of ways you might use a particular or deal with a particular document. Let's say, at least in federal court and some state courts now with the electronic filing, when you download documents, the way that they're uploaded, it may be that you have a particular file that is, let's say, 5 pieces, the main document and 4 exhibits. So when you get those documents, one of the things that I suggest doing is naming them. So here's one that's called named files. That's just where I've got several files in no particular order. These are just some documents. You can see one's exhibit 1, exhibit 2, exhibit 3, and then the main document. So one of the things you can now do is you've got these 4 separate PDFs. And one of the nice things is when you name them like this, you open up Acrobat and you can combine these documents into a single PDF. And I'm just getting rid of these things. And by doing that, one of the cool things that allows you to do is combine them into one PDF and automatically bookmark them based on the file name. So one of the things we're going to do is go to File. We're going to create a PDF. We're going to do that. We're going to combine files into a single PDF. So I'm going to select that. And then I'm just going to drag these items here, these 4 items, drag them into the add files. And now what it's done is it's added these particular documents into the PDF. However, I want to change the order. So it dragged them in the order in which they're named, exhibit 1, 2, 3, and then P, because P comes after E. But let's say I want the main document right here to be up at the top, to be the first document that appears. If you select it, you can then click on Move Up, and it will now put that PDF in the first position. So this particular document of whatever the page range is will appear first in your to be combined PDF. Then exhibit 1, exhibit 2, and exhibit 3. That's the name of the file. On the right side, you see where it says bookmark for file. You can actually then change. Right now, I like it because it's what I want it to be called. This will be the actual bookmarks for the combined PDF file on the left side. Let's say for whatever reason, I don't want to use PL notice. I want to change it right here to plaintiff. I can just type it right here. And now the bookmark, I hit return. The bookmark will be called this. So now when I come over here and hit combine, it will take those 4 separate documents and it immediately creates this 32-page PDF. And if you click on bookmark right here, you now see that the various documents that we had as separate PDFs are now part of this one 32-page PDF that are bookmarked. And so when I click on the bookmark, it automatically takes me to that particular thing. So that's very helpful if you're if you've got separate PDFs that you're trying to combine into one to provide to the other side or to provide the court as part of a memo. That's a very quick and efficient way to do that. That is very helpful. The other thing, while we're on the bookmarks thing real quick, I want to show you nesting bookmarks. And sometimes you'll see that when you get a PDF online, like an instruction manual, you'll see certain bookmarks that are nested. On the Mac, if you click on a particular bookmark and drag it, click and hold down and drag it up, this line appears and you drag it and then it becomes inset. So now I'm going to take this exhibit 1 and it's now going to be inset. So now it will appear. I can do this close down arrow, whatever it's called. There's a word for it. I can't remember what it's called. And I want to drag this next one, number 2, click and hold down, and I want it to be below exhibit number 2, and the same thing with number 3. So now you can click and close, like click and clack, I guess. And so you can there's a word for that. I don't remember, I lost the word in my head, but collapse. So you can now have these collapsible bookmarks that allow you to have multiple pieces of information all in one place. And if you want to drag it back out, you click and hold it out, and now you can get them back out of that order that they were in. Now you see that the bookmarks are in what appears to be the wrong order. If you click on it, it still takes you to the right place. The bookmarks are out of order. So again, if you click and hold and drag it up to appear right after number 3 and take number 2 and put it there, you're now in the right order. So that's a quick example of combining files and showing you how to play around with bookmarks and collapsing them in a very quick fashion. Did you have any? There were a couple of things I had written down, but what else did you have to talk about?
No, we did the marquee. We did the Control 0 tab. No, I think we got most of the stuff that we wanted. In
oh, I do remember the other one.
All right, what's up?
Yes, one quick thing that happens, we're going to talk about printing without comments. Because sometimes one of the things that happens is, let's say you have a series of comments, let's say I've highlighted things in this document and whatever it might be, and I've got sticky notes all over the place. Oh, by the way, we showed some of the other tools. I happen to like this particular Callout tool as a sticky note. It allows me to point to a particular place and do like this. Then I can type, real important or whatever it might be. To me, that's just a nice way to point to a specific. Share. Oh, real pro.
Kind of important.
All right. So what I'll show you is this particular tool right here, this Callout tool. If you want to point to it, it's a neat way to show, look here or whatever it might be. It's a nice way to do it. So what I've done is I've just taken this particular, my father doesn't know him. We've highlighted several things. We've created comments, a series of comments, and I'm making them here. So we've got these comments. One of the things that can happen is when you you've got these comments and you go to print this document or send it off. Sometimes the comments will appear on the printed page. And in Adobe Acrobat, you can click right here when you go to print, and where it says comments and forms, I'll zoom in on this. You're going to change this where it says document. You're going to say document and markups or document and stamps. So if that's selected, then these various comments and other things will appear when you go to print the document, which you may not want to have happen. So that's how you can turn that on and off. There are some times where you might want to, when John was showing you earlier in the seminar about creating the various comments, you can actually summarize the contents and it will print just the comments so that you can look at them as a separate PDF that may help you analyze the particular document, so you can see just the list of the comments available to you, that you use as sort of a cheat sheet of your thoughts about a particular document. So I just want to show that real quick, because sometimes people will print a PDF and it's got the comments there, or you try to file it with the court, and that's a problem because you don't want your comments necessarily being shared or filed online. I don't know if we had any other questions or not. Do you have any other thoughts?
Looks good. That's about it.
Yeah, and everybody will be getting, as Ginger said, we're going to send out a PDF of much more stuff that we did not cover. It will walk you through many other topics, including things, because we can't get to everything in time, how to encrypt a document. Bates numbering we covered, properties of tools, combining files, printing, exporting, sharing and commenting, emailing. That you can use Adobe Acrobat to take a PDF and drop a spot onto it for you to send a document off to have a client sign it. There's just so many different things that you can do, and we don't have time to talk about all this today, and wanted you to be able to at least get a sense of, don't feel too overwhelmed by Adobe Acrobat. Take the time to start playing around with it. We wanted to show you some of the tools that we use, that we enjoy using, and how we use them. And anytime you got any questions, just let either one of us know.
Yep. Reach out to us anytime.
This has been fantastic, you guys. I got to agree with Christopher in the chat box that this has almost been like watching a show between the two of you. I mean, you guys are hilarious, but it's also so educational because we were learning the entire time. So this has been a lot of fun. And I do want to just remind everybody, we are going to post this on our Connectionology YouTube channel. so you can refer back to it. And don't be afraid. You can reach out to Justin and John anytime. These guys are incredible trial lawyers, but also just technology geniuses. So if there's ever a question you have, stay in touch with both of them. I'm also going to email you their contact information in just a few moments, as well as with the special handout that they're going to provide. And again, big thanks to HMR, On Point, and Fox AE. If it wasn't for these guys, oh my gosh, I mean, it'd be hard to do all these webinars that we offer. So big thanks to them. And thank you everybody watching for working with these guys, because they are incredible at what they do. And I'm gonna come back to you and John and Justin in just a moment, but I do want to bring Mike Sealy in real fast, because he is going to announce the big copy winner for today.
And I know it's Justin Kahn.
I know. And don't forget, guys, if you didn't win the copy today, there's always a chance on Thursday, because we're going to be doing more of these webinars as well. And then HMR will be back with another copy giveaway. And don't forget, please go check out connectionology.com. Look at the seminars that we have coming up. They are going to be incredible. I mean, just in Jackson Hole, which is going to be September 28th through October 1st, we're going to this luxurious ranch, which sits 10 minutes in the mountains up above Jackson Hole. And it's like a half-day seminar. We're going to meet in the morning. We're going to learn a lot from all the great speakers, and then go off, you know, take your families with you and enjoy the beautiful Yellowstone National Park. John, we're going to have a good time, aren't we?
It is going to be fabulous. It'll be a great educational experience, but we'll have a good time, and it'll give people a chance to really bond and come together. So I'm excited about it.
Perfect. All right, I see Mike is here with us. Mike, please do the honors. Who is the winner of the big copy giveaway today?
Small drum roll. We have Destiny Olivius from Law Office of Christopher Shane in El Paso, Texas.
Woohoo! Congratulations, Destiny.
Destiny, you're about 600 miles from me, so I will stop by this afternoon with a coffee and drop that off in person. Just kidding, I will be mailing that.
I was going to say that'd be a pretty fun road trip, Mike.
It's a haul from Central Texas.
Well, thank you so much for popping in, and thank you so much for everything that you guys do at HMR. Thanks for these copy giveaways. I know
it is no problem.
Too.
Happy to be a part of it.
All right,
Thank
Mike,
you.
we'll see you again
Bye-bye.
soon. Thank you for everything. Justin and John, do you guys have any last minute closing comments for everybody?
You can do it. It's you just gotta practice.
Put your toe in the
forget
water.
to touch. Yeah.
But don't wait to the last minute. Really just take a simple PDF you've got, start playing around with it, or download some PDF instructional document for your refrigerator or whatever it might be, and start playing around with it, mark it up, and start playing around with it, because that way you're not worried about hurting a document. But really go to those videos that we mentioned earlier, and rewatch this part of this video. You'll be getting this as a PDF that'll walk you through it. I encourage you just to start playing around with it.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much, Justin. Thank you, John. Mr. Romano, thank you so much for every single thing that you do. Thank you so much for the work that you have done on all of these webinars and seminars across the country, and for showcasing the brand new technology that you have, because now I want it. Do you guys have any last minute things?
Well, except for Ginger, you and your dog will be in 2 different places or something. You'll have a split screen with the dog.
Yeah, our mascot, Coconut. He hasn't made an appearance lately. We'll have to bring him back in. Thank you, everybody watching. We'll see you back here on Thursday at 3 o'clock. Hope everybody has a great afternoon, and I'll be in touch. Bye, everybody.
Thanks.
Yeah.